Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for remaining to hear the story of the incredible Lake Resources. Why incredible? Because this company's got the most potential of any lithium stock on the market and probably one of the smallest market caps currently at 20 million Australian dollars as we head towards production. This is a public company. We're listed in Australia with 4 projects in Argentina in various stages of development. I will be making forward-looking statements, so hang on to your hats. As I said, we're right in the heart of the lithium triangle. In Argentina, we've got projects in Jujuy, 2 projects there right alongside and in the biggest basin lithium resource in the world, next to Ganfeng, Lithium America and Orocobre Advantage Lithium, where we're currently drilling, and also a very large project at Catamarca called Cachi, which we're starting a pre-feasibility study that's currently underway, and we'll have a pilot plant on site by the end of this year. We've got the largest land holding of any listed company, both here and in North America, 200,000 hectares. It isn't moose pasture. These areas were pegged a month after the change of government, when the Macri government came to power in 2016. We were there very, very early. We saw the change of government coming. We raised money privately and sent our managing director, Steve Prominence, in country. He'd worked there previously with Rio Tinto and Western Mining as a project generator for them, and had a good working knowledge and a great contact base, and was very fortunate to be able to put his foot on some significant properties that had basically been overlooked in the previous lithium boom 8 years previous. Just everyone knows about Lithium Demand. It's going crazy. Every day you see another battery factory being announced, another application, energy storage, another sort of cars, trucks, buses, and an enormous demand and very risky supply. And I say risky because it just isn't. The big guys are trying to tell us how much they can increase production. They've told us that for the last 4 years and they haven't delivered. Last year, I think at best, they probably delivered an increase of about 10%. And with the weather pattern in Argentina, particularly in the Atacama this year, it will prove a real problem again this year for them to increase supply to the levels that they're talking about. I love this chart. It explains demand beautifully. 3 years ago, if that chart was up on the screen, it would have had 3 battery factories on it, the gigafactories as they like to be known. Now 76, and the new figure next month I'm certain will have over 80 under construction or in production. So the demand is just continually growing and sucking any available supply, to the extent where we've seen the Audi e-tron. They took orders for 20,000 cars. They've now delayed delivery on those vehicles for 6 months because LG Chem can't deliver battery packs. Where are we? We're right here, right in the thick of it, surrounded by all the big names in the game. In the Atacama, you've got SQM and Albemarle. Down to the south, we've got Neo Lithium. Hombre Muerto with Livent. Previously, FMC's been operating there for 20 years. Orocobre is in production since 2016. Those guys did a remarkable job to bring that project into production during the previous regime. They had all sorts of challenges and issues. They chose their partners very well, very strong, Toyota Tsusho and Panasonic, and they just ploughed on and reaping the benefits now. We've seen some activity in these areas recently. This is where we are, Cauchari and Olaroz right in the middle of it, next to Ganfeng, Lithium America and Orocobre, and down to the south here at Cachi, where it's a basin that we own the entire basin 100%. And we've put out an initial resource there of 4.4 million tonnes of lithium carbonate with an exploration target of between 8 and 17 million tonnes lithium carbonate equivalent. And that's down to only 400 metres, and we know the basin extends to the depth of 800 metres and extends further to the south. There have been transactions here just recently. In recent times, Ganfeng came in and took SQM out of Lithium America, $237 million, and assumed some of the debt position, and then recently threw in another $160 million US dollars, taking their contribution up to $400 million US dollars to buy 50% of that project. They've been drilling like crazy. They've got 8 rigs there that they've committed and contracted for 3 years. Right next door to us, there's 40 trucks digging ponds and going crazy. They're putting a production well 500 metres from where we're currently drilling. We should update the market on that drilling in the next day or 2. So there's a lot going on. We've seen the transaction with Galaxy and POSCO, just down to the right there. And Salinas Grande's LSC Lithium was purchased by an oil company for 111 million Canadian dollars earlier this year. And I'll just skip through here. We've got broker notes out. We've got 3 of them at the moment that value us at multiples of our current share price of around 5 cents. A bit depressing. This is the slide I like to call the poor me slide. It highlights the market capitalisation of the other companies in the basin and the one producer there, Orocobre in the grey on the left, and that little blue dot down in the corner there is poor old Lake Resources as we beaver away and get on with it. And the red line, zigzag, is the stated resources of all those companies. So we think we're being harshly treated by the market, but there's a couple of reasons for that. Here's our Kachi project, the lease area, 69,000 hectares. It's an enormous basin, massive in scale. It's very hard to depict it so that you get a sense of the scale of this thing, but it is enormous. I've got a cheesy slide here. We did the presentation in North America last week, so we're trying to highlight the size of our leases compared to the island of Manhattan. So we're 11 times Manhattan, so it gives you a bit of an idea of the scale of it. Our initial resource, just over 4.4 million tonnes, puts us in the top 10 of the brine projects globally. Our exploration target takes us up to the top end of that group, and that's something we expect to expand in time. As I said, our pre-feasibility study is currently underway. We announced yesterday. Hatch, the engineering group, are overseeing that feasibility study. We announced that to the market yesterday. So we're very excited by Kachi because of the sheer magnitude of the brines that we have there. So as I said, it goes down to 800 metres depth, but we've calculated a resource at 400, which is the extent of the drilling that we've done to date, and it extends to the left of that slide, the top slide. Now, the reason I'm so excited about Lake, and the reason I think it's so cheap, is for the simple reason that we're changing the way we look at extracting the lithium. We're not a mining company. This is brine, it's water. We're a water treatment company, and we're partnered with a group out of Silicon Valley called Lilac Solutions, who is owned and operated by a couple of guys, PhDs out of Northwestern University, funded out of Silicon Valley, with a disruptive technology. Well, it's a disruptive part of an ion exchange. Ion exchange isn't new. It's been around for years, but the guys at Lilac have developed a special bead with an amazing ability to extract lithium from the brine, and only lithium, no contaminants. Just to give you an idea of why we think we're a game changer in this space, photo of our environmental, I guess how would you say it? Well, we look at that and we just think that's not sustainable. Our MD was in Santiago recently, and there was a sign in the piazza saying water over mines. Water's becoming a real issue in Chile, and it's the treatment of the environment and sustainable production of product is becoming increasingly relevant. Just quickly, the Lilac solution, the beads in the container where we've pumped the water in, extract the lithium very rapidly in 3 hours, not 18 months or so that an evaporation pond. We then pump the residual water, 99.7% of the brine, back into the aquifer, and then it concentrates to 30,000 up to 50,000 parts per million, which is then available for export. We can export that to East Coast China and Japan, and then we'll take that to plants down at a lower level where we've got access to infrastructure and staff and housing, rather than build a new town in the middle of a desert. The cost of our OPEX operating cost there is $2,600 a tonne, which puts us right down in the bottom of the bottom quartile here. So that's really quite exciting when you've seen SQM report their average price for 2018 for 40,000 tonnes at $16,292 was their average price achieved. So we're pretty excited to be able to produce it at 2,600. These are just a couple of happy snaps of the proximity to where we are with our neighbours, right alongside the advantaged Lithium America. On the other side of the basin, we're going to be drilling right alongside the Orocobre production area. We expect to be on that within the next 3 weeks. and we've also got a massive 80,000 hectare Pegmatite project down in Catamarca. So thank you very much for your attention.